There's a lot packed into Chilling Adventures of Sabrina's 36 episodes. Alongside her friends, family, and Coven, Sabrina faces new and ancient threats, plus saves the world a few times. Here's the entire timeline of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina explained, from pre-show history to the series finale. Hundreds of years ago, a group of Scottish witches fleeing persecution were taken by boat to Greendale, Massachusetts by Dorothea Putnam. But these witches were no safer in Greendale, and 13 of them were hunted and hanged by ancestors of Harvey Kinkle, Sabrina's first boyfriend. The Greendale 13 and their coven were the earliest incarnation of the Church of Night, to which Sabrina's family, the Spellmans, have belonged for generations. In the first season of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, the 13 are summoned by the demon Lilith to attack the town. This is the only time Greendale's original witches are actually present on screen, but their story informs much of what happens in the Church of Night and in Greendale, especially as Sabrina starts learning more about how to use her magic. When Sabrina Spellman is born, two things happen. Her Aunt Zelda forges her signature in the Book of the Beast, effectively taking away Sabrina's choice whether to sign when she comes of age as a witch. Her Aunt Hilda also witnesses Sabrina's Christian baptism, which is strictly forbidden by the Church of Night. This leads to Hilda being excommunicated from the church. It also causes friction between Sabrina and Zelda and complicates Sabrina's decision to sign the Book of the Beast herself. Sabrina's parents, Edward, a warlock, and Diana, a mortal, are killed in a plane crash when Sabrina is very young.
Your father and mother were flying to Italy. Edward was giving a lecture at the Vatican when their plane went down, tragically.
Originally believed to be an accident, Sabrina later learns their deaths were calculated by Father Blackwood, who saw Edward's progressive ideas as a threat to the Church of Night. In the show's pilot, Sabrina's favorite teacher, Mrs. Wardwell, provides shelter to a distressed young girl she finds on the side of the road. When she brings the girl to her remote cottage, Mrs. Wardwell is slain by the girl, who then assumes her appearance and identity. It's revealed that the shapeshifter girl is Lilith, a demon from hell. She's come to Greendale to manipulate Sabrina into signing the Book of the Beast. Lilith believes this will give her what she wants, which is a shared reign over hell with her beloved Lucifer. Eventually, Lilith reveals her true identity to Sabrina and the Spellman family, and pretends to be a mentor to Sabrina. Sabrina turns 16 on Halloween night. Her boyfriend, Harvey, really wants her to celebrate with him and their friends, Roz and Theo. But Sabrina is expected to sign the Book of the Beast and be fully initiated in the Church of Night Coven. She can't spend her birthday with her friends, and she'll be expected to leave the mortal world behind. Her aunts allow her to go to Roz's Halloween party, but she's expected in the woods before midnight to sign her soul over to Satan. While she's standing in front of the Book of the Beast, Sabrina believes that signing her name is a choice that will allow her to embrace her power and freely perform magic as a full witch. When she learns that she'll actually be at the Dark Lord's beck and call, she panics and runs out of the woods. The Coven follows, but Sabrina's cousin, Ambrose, prevents them from crossing the Spellman property line, protecting Sabrina from harm. When Lilith summons the 13 to Greendale, it's part of a master plan to force Sabrina to sign the Book of the Beast. But by summoning the 13, Lilith puts Greendale and the Church of Night at risk, which means Sabrina is the only one who can defeat them and save everyone. Sabrina can't do that without the full use of her magic, which she can only acquire by agreeing to sell her soul to Satan. In the Season 1 finale, Sabrina finally puts her name in the book and becomes a full-blooded witch. In Season 2, she starts using magic more frequently and tells her friends she's a witch. This causes some problems, particularly in her relationship with Harvey. Sabrina starts attending the Academy of Unseen Arts more often than she attends Baxter High, and she even starts dating a warlock, Nick Scratch. With help from Lilith and Nick, Lucifer Morningstar returns to his human form at the end of Season 2. He makes several revelations which alter the course of Sabrina's life and the show. Perhaps the most important one is that Edward Spellman isn't actually Sabrina's father. Lucifer is. Sabrina is thus in line to become Queen of Hell, and Lucifer needs her to rule alongside him so they can remake Earth in Hell's image. He also needs Sabrina to blow the horn of Gabriel to open the gates of Hell, which will allow the dark aristocracy to attend her coronation on Earth. Sabrina refuses, but Lucifer isn't concerned.
You will blow Gabriel's horn at sundown in the clearing where you signed my book.
Lilith, meanwhile, is furious about Lucifer's betrayal, so she turns on him and begins working with Sabrina to stop the Dark Lord's plan. All Lilith wants is the throne, and all Sabrina wants is to continue being a mostly regular teenager. With Lilith's help, Sabrina attempts to trap and imprison Lucifer so he doesn't destroy Earth, but they soon realize the only way to trap Lucifer is to put him in a human body. Nick, Sabrina's boyfriend, is the most powerful conjurer and binder since Edward Spellman. As an apology to Sabrina for initially befriending her on the Dark Lord's behalf, Nick volunteers to become the vessel and keep Lucifer contained. This traps him in hell with Lucifer in his body, and he suffers intense trauma from the experience. Sabrina then abdicates the throne and makes Lilith Queen of Hell, which is all Lilith ever wanted. In exchange, Lilith restores Sabrina's magic, which she lost for defying Lucifer, and resurrects the actual Mrs. Wardwell. While Sabrina deals with Lucifer in Season 2, Prudence learns she's Father Blackwood's biological daughter. Blackwood's multiple attempts to return the Church of Night to its old ways end with him being scolded and punished by Lucifer, so he takes his infant twins and flees. Prudence and Ambrose go on a worldwide hunt to find her father. When they find him in Scotland, they discover he's manipulated time to age both himself and the twins up. Blackwood then becomes a prisoner of the Coven, and Sabrina's Aunt Zelda becomes the new High Priestess. The Coven then turns to Hecate for power, leaving Lucifer behind completely. When Sabrina frees Lucifer from Nick's body, she imprisons him in Blackwood's body, though he doesn't stay confined for long. The hunt for Blackwood ultimately damages Prudence's relationship with Ambrose, who asked her not to seek vengeance on her father. When the aristocracy of Hell decides Lilith isn't a legitimate queen, Sabrina has to take her rightful place on the throne, all while balancing her life on Earth. But the aristocracy also doesn't recognize Sabrina as a legitimate heir to the throne. They instead support Prince Caliban, a clay demon formed from Hell. Caliban and Sabrina compete for the throne in a series of challenges known as the Unholy Regalia. This requires them to go back in time, acquire certain holy objects, battle monsters, and fight each other. Caliban nearly wins by tricking Sabrina into giving him the final object needed to claim the throne. Sabrina then creates a time paradox when she realizes her attention to the Holy Regalia has doomed the world to end. With the paradox, she's able to stop Caliban and become the Queen of Hell. Shortly after Nick becomes Lucifer's vessel and Sabrina gives Lilith the throne of Hell, a group of pagans arrives in Greendale. They are determined to return the world to the old ones, which means sacrificing virgins to awaken the Green Man and end the modern world. The pagans disguise themselves as carnival performers and attempt to seduce Sabrina's friends into being sacrificed. In the end stages of the pagans' plan, Sabrina is too caught up in the Holy Regalia to realize how desperately her friends need her help. Before she figures out how to go back in time, Sabrina gets trapped in hell, and the pagans kill her friends. Luckily, using a time egg recovered from Father Blackwood in Scotland allows Sabrina to stop the pagans and save the world, though she creates a new set of problems in the process.
What am I?
To prevent the pagans from winning and stop Caliban from becoming King of Hell, Sabrina is forced to manipulate time. The version of her that's trapped in clay and hell is awoken by a different version, who has already fixed everything. This version of Sabrina tells the trapped version that she must close the time loop by returning to Hell and trading places with her to stop the massive ramifications. In classic Sabrina Spellman style, she ignores this advice and instead decides that life would be easier if there were two of her. So Sabrina Spellman returns to Earth while Sabrina Morningstar remains in Hell and is crowned queen. Morningstar marries Caliban and contentedly rules over Hell with Lucifer and Lilith, doing all of the things Spellman didn't want to do. When Ambrose discovers what his cousin has done, he forbids her from ever being in the same place as Sabrina Morningstar again. Sabrina Spellman abides until she needs Morningstar's help, which, you guessed it, causes major problems. After he leaves the Church of Night, acts as a vessel for Lucifer, and is then given the Mark of Cain so he can't be killed, Faustus Blackwood decides to unleash the Eldritch Terrors, gods so ancient they haven't been seen in thousands of years. Of course, they want to end the world. This power play is spurred by Blackwood's anger at the Spellmans, particularly Sabrina, and he seems to think he'll somehow be spared when the Eldritch Terrors destroy everything. Sabrina and her family are able to beat back the Eldritch Terrors at first, even when Blackwood uses the Perverse to become Emperor of Greendale and rewrite reality. However, stopping the most powerful terror, the Void, requires a powerful witch or warlock to sacrifice themselves. The Cosmic is the first Eldritch horror not to manifest in Greendale itself. Instead, it begins to condense hell, earth, and heaven until they bleed together, which ultimately leads to chaos. An angel, Metatron, then arrives in Greendale and tells the Coven that this chaos is the result of there being two Sabrinas. Their continued existence has created a parallel cosmos, which is being pulled toward Earth. To stop the inevitable collision and the Cosmic, one of the Sabrinas must be sent to an alternate Earth. Sabrina's Spellman and Morningstar both have lives on Earth, so they decide that the fairest way to determine who stays and who goes is to play rock, paper, scissors. Morningstar loses, so she's sent away. On the alternate Earth, she's an actor playing herself in a TV sitcom of her life, surrounded by her family and friends who are also playing versions of themselves. But the Endless, in the form of an animatronic Salem, has turned this realm into a never-ending sitcom for its own amusement. Like the other Eldritch Terrors, the Endless is working for the Void. Sabrina Morningstar realizes the problem and returns to the main Earth to warn Sabrina Spellman, then dies from the trip through realms. In a last-ditch effort to keep Lucifer from killing her, Lilith convinces Blackwood to sleep with her while he's Lucifer's vessel, so she'll become pregnant with Lucifer's child. Lilith intends to use her child as a means of becoming Queen of Hell. She schemes that her child can kill Lucifer to claim the throne to make her Queen Mother. When Lucifer tries to take the child from her, she kills the boy herself and makes a meal of him. Lilith's final act in the series finale is to stab Lucifer, drink his celestial blood, and then banish him to wander the mortal world so she can rule hell in peace. Throughout Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Season 4, the Coven works with hedge witches to try and stop the Eldritch Terrors. They quickly realize they're out of their depth, so Sabrina Spellman tries to solve the problem by trapping the Void in Pandora's box. That unfortunately requires her to sacrifice herself. Her family isn't willing to let her go, so they summon her spirit back to Sabrina Morningstar's body, which creates a war between Hell and Earth. Spellman realizes she's taken part of the Void into herself when she starts disappearing random objects, Caliban, and Harvey's father. She fears hurting her loved ones, so she flees to the Mountains of Madness, where Faustus Blackwood claims he can train her to contain the Void. Blackwood secretly plans to rip the Void from Sabrina's body to claim the power for himself. Sabrina's friends attempt to save her, but returning the people Sabrina accidentally disappeared requires Zelda to cut Sabrina open and drain the Void from her body. This opens a gateway, allowing Ambrose and Harvey to put the Eldritch Terrors they've trapped inside the Void and retrieve the people. Once everyone has been returned from the Void, Nick uses Pandora's box to trap the Void forever. Sabrina doesn't survive, and her family mourns both her and Sabrina Morningstar back in Greendale. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina ends with Sabrina and Nick in the sweet hereafter, which is a much friendlier afterlife than any others that have been shown in the series. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite TV shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.